my name is Gianna VDW. Welcome to my podcast. Today's topic is the Maui Wildfires. No rain, no rainbows. Wildfires are one of Mother Nature's most extreme forces. Either naturally or human-induced, they cause devastation that changes ecosystems and affects generations to come. This is the case with the recent wildfire in Hawaii. Listed as the deadliest U.S. fire in over a century, the wildfire devastated the Hawaiian island of Maui in August 2023. It claimed over 100 lives and leveled the historic town of Lahaina. Even in these modern times, with alert and safety advances, it is still the damage they are going forward. So, how did it happen? There are several factors that contributed to the 2023 Maui fire. It is important that we examine and understand these factors. First, it is important because we want to ensure Hawaii and other states are prepared to prevent and stop other deadly wildfires. Second, as humans with empathy, we want to find ways to prevent the loss of life in the future. Third, we should find ways to preempt the fires and stop them before they start. Lastly, examining this event from the eyes of those who experienced it creates a more personal lens from which better ideas and solutions can evolve. One of the primary factors of the wildfires was the drought. It caused low moisture and increased dry vegetation, which fuels wildfires. Backing this claim, meteorologists confirmed that Hawaii was dealing with a drought right before the wildfire started, and the existing condition started the massive spread. The last factor was Maui power lines. Some of the devastating wildfires that destroyed much of the Hawaiian island of Maui may have been caused by damage to power lines. Video footage and electricity grid data reviews seem to correlate, indicating that the first fire on the island may have begun due to a tree falling onto power lines.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Pribble. I'm a Senior Research Coordinator at Hawaiian Department of Land and Natural Resources. So nice to talk to you, Gianna. Basically, from the data I reviewed, I think it indicates where a possible tree fell on a power line. We know that as the power goes out, the generator kicked in, our camera comes back online, and then the forest is on fire. So essentially, at that exact same time, 10 sensors in the small town of Makawao, near to the Conservation Center, recorded a major incident in the power grid. This was shown to us through data from Whisker Labs. This power grid uses a strong sensor network to monitor the grids across the full United States. A strong confirmation based on real data that utility grid faults were likely the ignition source for multiple wildfires on Maui.
My name is Brad Sanchez, and I am the Maui County Fire Chief. High winds fueled multiple fires that ignited shortly after midnight on August 8, 2023. In fact, wind gusts reaching 60 miles per hour during the Lahaina fire. As a direct of Dora's indirect meteorological role in the wildfires, the storm named Dora was retired following the season, and it will never again be used.
The impact of the Hawaiian wildfire is significant because it killed 106 people, wildlife, and vegetation, damaged homes and businesses, and destroyed hundreds of miles of land. Residents of Lahaina were forced to relocate until the island was rebuilt, which will probably take 2 or more years. A study has shown that soil erosion in the wake of the wildfires can release sediments into the island's waterways. Some of those sediments can be toxic to drink and eventually the ocean, which will create a mess that could profoundly disturb aquatic ecosystems and kill many species. As a result of that, reefs and cities not too far from Lahaina can be in a dangerous place with their drinking water and aquatic ecosystems that could lead to more and more cities being poisoned or ruined. So good afternoon, Alex. Thank you for joining me today on my podcast and answering some questions. Can you tell us a little bit of the impact of the Maui fires on residents in or greater state of Hawaii?
Yeah, sure. So the biggest fire with the Maui fires was definitely Lahaina, and that one took out so many people's homes, and it really impacted everyone because everyone in Hawaii is just so connected. Like, I live on Oahu, and my coworker and her family lost their entire home, everything, with the wildfire.
How have the fires impacted overall economy and tourism?
So initially, after the wildfires, people were calling for any tourists coming to the island to cancel their trips. So a lot of the tourists actually did cancel. But the problem with that is Maui's economy is very based on tourism. So by canceling, that actually impacted people even more. So they lost. A lot of people were without jobs because construction was paused. Everybody's job was on hold. Anyone that had a restaurant job or a tourism job just had to go without for a little while. And Lahaina especially was a major tourist attraction, tourist area, especially Front Street that got destroyed by the wildfire.
Do you know how the fires affected overall health of the residents, humans, and animals and sea life?
We're still seeing how the wildfires impacted everyone's lives. When the wildfires burned everything, they burned everything in the house. So there's a lot of carcinogenic chemicals and really dangerous ash left over. So people who were going back to their houses to go search through the rubble to go find anything from their old lives in their old homes, they were exposed to that toxic ash. So they are still, it's been less than a year, so there's still going to be a lot of impacts coming through. And a lot of people's pets actually didn't make it through the fire. Over 2,000 animals were lost.
And lastly, do you have any suggestions as to how other people can get involved or help in the recovery there?
They're still working on rebuilding. A lot of funding is coming through the Maui Strong initiative. It's by the Hawaii Community Foundation. So people can donate to that, and they provide grants to residents to help rebuild, especially since a lot of the residents' homes were family homes for generations, so they didn't have a lot of insurance to help them rebuild.
Thank you for answering all my questions.
Yeah, thank you.
ABC News reporter Becky Worley lives in the Bay Area but grew up in Maui, and she is there this morning bringing us stories from residents who survived the fires.
Reggie Kamasi, I'm in Kula, Maui. Maui is home for me, where I grew up, where my family and friends are still living. We didn't know what to expect when we got here. I just can't even wrap my head around what's happening on this island. I came up here to see what I'd been hearing from friends and families about a totally separate fire that was raging across the volcano, Haleakala, in the town of Kula. And I found land, thousands of acres burned, homes in pockets of neighborhoods, not everywhere, but some pockets that were completely burned out, and many evacuees from the Lahaina fires, which are about 35 miles away. I talked to one woman, Shalina Barrios, who told me she evacuated her home with her 6- and 8-year-old kids and her husband. They tried to drive out. Then they got stuck. They ran to the water. They were looking for boogie boards to put the kids on top of so they could swim into the water. But the wind shifted just enough for them to run down the beach and escape. Stories like this coming out now, and also just so many people worried about their loved ones. The missing numbers are absolutely horrific. It was reported that 1,000 people are missing still. The communications on Lahaina side are down because of the cell towers, and the infrastructure is tough. Remember, this is an island. We can't bring in folks from neighboring communities who drive in. So we are all just praying and hoping as the island starts to dig out from this unfathomable event that just is, as someone who grew up here, hard for me to even contemplate the loss of life, the people who've died, historic Lahaina town gone. I feel like a piece of my childhood is really in ashes, and I'm just so sad for all those people. Reggie, Kumasi.
That is so tough.
Oh, I'm glad we got to hear her. I'm glad she's there because that really makes a difference. She knows the area, she knows the people, and gosh, our heart breaks for them.
When natural disasters arise, so do opportunities for aid, assistance, and growth. In the aftermath of the wildfires, several outlets stepped up to provide help where it mattered. Both FEMA and the Red Cross were on site to help residents in need by donating food, shelter, and medical assistance. Additionally, volunteers stepped up to help in the cleanup and rebuilding efforts. These charity efforts, along with the support of local and federal governments and U.S. citizens, result in a faster process of restoring the land and helping the people that lost their homes and belongings. These methods said to be effective by the Maui resources, who documented that if a group of people work on one section of the island at a time, that the island will take less time to rebuild. In fact, with a proper plan, they can have a lot accomplished by January of 2025. With this, people from all over needed to act. If they don't, there could be a danger of debris from Lahaina being swept into other cities, which could be toxic to breathe in. Beyond the immediate effects on the land and residents, fires have far-reaching impact on the ecosystem and future of a region. In conclusion, in the case of recent wildfires in Hawaii, several factors contributed to the fires, but it is hard to know which was the true culprit. As a survivor of Hurricane Sandy, there is much to learn from each natural event, and we should not allow any of these tragedies to happen without reflection, desire, change. There is a saying in Maui, no rain, no rainbows, and I feel that is an indicative of the fact that there can be some positives after a negative. Looking at the wildfire, we can now confirm that the fires are proof of the environmental conditions prevent when wildfires take off. We also learned that to turn a blind eye is inhumane. There are a value in learning about the impact on a life and ecosystems and how we can do better. Lastly, it is a wake-up call on the importance of the functions and meteorology and local emergency teams plans across the county when there are fires, floods, hurricanes, and tornadoes. We need to see a ramp up in the support of local level leaders who need to make sure that their systems are in place, well practiced, and ready to turn on in an instant.